Guys, welcome back to another episode of Southern Extreme TV. Today I've got what I think is a pretty cool video for you guys. I've done a product review for this company in the past, and it was for a bipod, and it's actually a product that probably turned into one of my favorite items that I've received from a company. But they got back in contact with me and asked me if I'd be willing to do another product review for them. And obviously I like doing these reviews because I think it's budget friendly and I think it's stuff that you guys enjoy watching. Anytime I can help you guys find stuff on a budget, to help you guys out, to take you out into the field and shoot, have fun, go hunting, that's what I'm all about and that's what I want to do. So today, I'm talking about another product, and I got my phone here because I've got all the specs and stuff pulled up about this rifle scope that I'm going to be talking about today. This rifle scope is produced on Amazon by a company by the name of X-A-E-G-I-S. Now I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. X-Aegis, I guess. I don't know. But it's pretty cool. This rifle scope is $36.99 with free shipping. And I'm pretty sure that this qualified. I don't know if it qualified for Amazon Prime or not. I don't see it qualifying for Amazon Prime, but I did get this scope in 3 days. So it's still not that big of a deal. I think they still have this scope here in some storage units in the USA. But as far as the scope goes, so far I've been incredibly impressed with it. This is a 6x24 by 50 millimeter scope for $36.99. Now, going into some of the specs of the scope, obviously that's the magnification, the 6x24 by 50, which is a lot of magnification for that cheap of a scope. You also have your focus dial on the end of the scope. You don't have one back here on the side where your turrets are. It's out on the end, and it's going to go from 50 all the way out. I apologize. It goes from 25 all the way out past 300 to infinity. And you know, obviously it's not as smooth turning as your Vortex or your Leopolds or anything like that that has a focus ring on the end. But that's, I mean, it's $36.99 for the scope. So what all can you expect? You know what I'm saying? As far as the features that come with it, besides that, you also get an illuminated reticle, which you have a dial up here on top. You have 5 brightness levels for each color. You have obviously off, where it's just a regular black reticle when you're looking in there. And then you also have green, and you also have red, and you have 5, I guess, lighting power options between each of those colors. Now this thing is really, 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 really bright. Whenever you turn this thing on, there actually looks like where the battery and the dial is, there's a light that actually just shines straight down. So it can be a little overbearing sometimes. Now, if it's in the middle of the day, it's really not that bad, but low light conditions, if you turn this thing on, there's a good chance it's gonna blind you, even on the lower setting. But it's still a cool feature for them to be able to pack into this scope for $36.99. Get this phone pulled back up so I can go over some more stuff. Now, and the reason I got to do this is because they send a lot of stuff with this scope. These scope caps that are on it came with the scope in the package. And you know, I'm a big fan of Butler Creek scope caps. I've got them on just about every one of my hunting rifles that I take in and out of the woods. But guys, these things right here will get the job done. They're not fancy. They don't look the best. You know, they're cheap. But listen to this. That's a solid snap whenever you close these things together. A lot of times on these cheaper scope caps that you get, they just kind of mash together and it's almost like it's held together by just the rubber on the outside. You don't get a good snapping noise to it where you are all that confident that it's shutting closed all the way. So open this back up, perfect. Nice loud audible click to let you know that that is in place, and you can see I'm sitting here rubbing it and it's not, you know, coming off. So you can catch that on your shirt or anything like that and it's not really going to pop open for you. The back one is a little bit easier to open, which I actually like that. It still has a nice audible click though. but it is a little bit easier to open, which I don't mind because it's the one that's closest to me. I don't want to have to really be fighting all that hard to try to get that open, especially in a hunting situation. If I have to open both of these, you know, I want the end ejector, because it's the one that's farthest away from me. I need it to be a little more firm, in my opinion. That's just me. I like it being a little more difficult to open because I feel like carrying it through the woods and carrying it in and out of, you know, gun ranges and things like that, this is the one that's more likely to get caught or hung on something and flip open. So you get the scope caps, you get the focus ring on the end. The next thing that they're going to give you, and for me is important, is they actually give you a set of scope rings. So they actually send all of the hardware to mount this thing to a Picatinny rail. And it is raised up. You do have an inch gap, so you have kind of an opening, but that's perfect for an AR platform, because whenever you shoulder it, an AR platform, you actually need that scope to set up just a little bit higher, just because of the way that these ARs are made. And I have maybe a 1/4 of an inch, maybe a 1/2 of an inch clearance between the end of my scope down here and my rail, which is nice because the lower you can get that scope to set down on your barrel, the more accurate that rifle is going to be. So that's a huge plus to me, that they already include these scope rings, and it's not something that I'm going to have to go out and, you know, I'm not going to have to pay $36.99 for a scope and then have to go out and pay $25 to find scope rings that's going to fit it. They already include all that with you, and from what I can tell, these things are really, really secure. I put a really big and heavy flathead screwdriver on the side where these things connect to the Picatinny rail, and I really torqued them down pretty good just to make sure that they're not going to come off, just because on an AR you got a lot of moving parts, and you know, you can be rough on your equipment sometimes. So it seemed to hold up good to me, and definitely something that I'm glad they included in there. Next thing that they're going to give you, and this is the one part that I'm going to knock about this scope. So let's go ahead and take this front scope cap off here. I'm going to show you guys something. They also include a sunshade, which is just I'm assuming it's powder coated aluminum. I don't even know if it's powder coated, but it's just painted aluminum, and it's threaded on the end for it to be able to slide and screw in here. Here's the problem though. These diameters match up exactly, meaning that there is no way for this to screw onto this scope. And whenever I received the scope, I sent an email back to the manufacturer and told them, said, hey, you know, this thing doesn't screw onto the end, and I never got a reply back from them. But on the pictures that you have on Amazon, whenever you look at the sunshade attached to the scope, it looks like there is a gasket or a ring up here on the front that either screws off or pops off, and then this screws down in, and then that rubber gasket or whatever it is then pops into the end of the sunshade. If that's how it's supposed to work, I have been unable to get this little ring off if this is supposed to be removable. I've tried taking, you know, a flathead screwdriver and prying it off. I've tried, you know, holding it down and twisting it off. Can't get it off, but it's not that big of a deal to me that this doesn't fit, because it's $36.99. I didn't invest a whole lot of money in this, but it still would be nice if this worked. Now, I may be doing it completely wrong, but if I am doing it wrong, they haven't emailed me and told me how to get this thing removed or how this thing is supposed to attach. So right now at this video, the sunshade that I got does not fit and does not screw into the end of the scope. Not a big deal. Again, $36.99, a 6x24 by 50 power scope. Can't complain too much. You are also going to get this rubber cap that will go on to the back end of the scope. And this is just, I guess it's a comfort thing in my opinion. It also is designed to help keep out extra sunlight from coming in if you get a bad glare or something. You know, you can get that and slide it all the way on there, and then what you can do is you can actually put your eye all the way up against it. And it's the first time I actually can put it on. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not going to use it, but if you guys are getting it to maybe put on an airsoft rifle, or maybe you're going to put it on a real rifle and you just want it to look cool, it's an option that they give you. So kudos to them for actually taking the effort to send some decent stuff, or what I consider decent stuff, for the money. So that's just about everything that they send you in the box. You get the scope caps, you get the scope rings, you get the focus dial on the end, you get the 50mm sunshade, and you also get the eye cushion, light blocker, whatever you want to call that, on the end. The one thing I do want to point out about the scope is your turrets. Normal turrets that you have are typically a 1/4 inch at 100 yards, which means that if you were sighting the scope in at 100 yards and you shoot and you're 2 inches off to the right, you would move your scope 8 clicks to the left, because 4 clicks would equal 1 inch at 100 yards. This is actually 1/8 of a inch at 100 yards. So basically what that means is for every 8 clicks that you turn this at 100 yards, that will equal 1 inch. Now you'll see this on a lot of really high-end rifle scopes. It's made to be a little more precise so that you can really dial that scope in, rather than only having the ability to adjust it 1/4 of an inch for every click. This gives you a little more dial down, I guess. And it's designed just to make you to be a little more precise, I would say. I'll be 100% honest with you, I haven't tested it all that much. From what I can tell, it's close to an 1/8. My opinion, it's not quite an 1/8 of an inch at 100 yards. It's not quite a 1/4. It's somewhere in between, in my opinion. So it's just something you got to play with, and if you're shooting low, turn it a couple clicks up, and just work your bullet all the way up until you get it into the bullseye. But as far as holding zero, and as far as clarity in the glass and the shootability of this scope, guys, my personal opinion, there's nothing more that you can ask for out of a scope in this price range. I actually put this scope on this budget AR build that I built for my dad, with a Bear Creek Arsenal upper and a Palmetto State lower with Magpul pistol grip and Magpul stock. And mainly because he was running just a red dot on this, just for running around and plinking and shooting a little bit. But I also needed to get him some type of AR platform for whenever we do go coyote hunting. It's nice for him to have a semi-automatic rifle that he has the ability to send several rounds downrange if the case need be. So it's definitely nice for those guys to send me this scope. They don't pay me anything, guys. They just sent it to me and said, hey, do a review on it, tell everybody what you think about it. And it's my honest opinion. I think the sunshade is kind of unfortunate that it doesn't fit. I think this is just a waste, my personal opinion. I mean, it's cool that they send it and that they take the time, but I'm never going to use it, and I don't see the I just don't see the benefit in that. The eye relief is actually decent on this scope. You actually have an eye relief focus dial up here on the front of the scope. So if you're a guy that has to have something really adjustable, this thing actually does adjust pretty decently well, in my opinion. So I can't really complain about it, guys. My opinion, for the money, go pick one of these things up. I'm gonna put a link in the comment box down below to the scope. That way you can go online and you can take a look at all of the stuff that you get in this scope. It is labeled as, let me read the full posting that's listed on Amazon. It's called the XAEGIS Upgrade Rifle Scope with Sunshade and Rubber Eye Shade, 6x24x50 AOE red and green illuminated scope. And you can scroll through a bunch of pictures. They got a bunch of pictures of the scope caps off. They just got pictures of everything on here. So I mean, it's not a scam or anything like that. I mean, it's just a cheap rifle scope that you can pick up if you're not looking to spend a whole lot of money. And if it breaks, it breaks, and who really cares, in my opinion. So awesome scope for the money. I gotta thank those guys for sending it out to me to be able to do this video for y'all. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and hopefully it helps you guys save a little money on your next scope purchase, if you're just looking to stay budget oriented. That's what the main purpose of this video was for, guys. So until next time, I'm going to shut the heck up and wrap this video up. Do me a favor though, while I'm getting ready to wrap this up, there is going to be a little square up here. It's going to have my symbol, Southern Extreme TV. Click that button and go ahead and subscribe to my channel. It means the world to me, guys, and just lets me know that you guys enjoy watching what I'm doing and you guys want to see more content, and it helps me and Southern Extreme TV out, guys. It really does. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button right there in the top left corner, and also I have 3 other videos that's going to be popping up with that as well. Make sure to check those videos out. I think you guys are going to like them, and hey, next time I'll bring you along on my next adventure.